Alrighty, welcome back to another Professions Leveling Guide for WoW Classic. Hopefully, just as always, you're doing well today. Before we jump into today's Enchanting Guide though, if you've not seen the previous video in the series where who's becoming the next Elon Musk of Azeroth, I'd highly recommend checking it out as there is a lot of great benefits to having engineering as a profession in WoW Classic. There'll be a card to that video in the upper right hand portion of the screen right now, or you can find a link down below in the description to this video. And also, it would be amazing if you could give this video a quick thumbs up to help this video reach as many people as possible. Anyways, as you can see from the title, today we're leveling our enchanting profession in Classic WoW. You should also note that you'll be required to have a fair few items saved up for this profession, because we'll be disenchanting a lot of things to help later on in the video. More on this later though. Before we begin, I'd like to list out a few negatives and positives if any. This profession is going to have quite a lot of mixed opinions due to what I'm about to list now. With the negatives, our first point is that it's very expensive to max out if you outright buy all of the materials. I can tell you right now, even after having almost half of the materials, I still ended up spending around 250 gold on it, which is insane. I've never spent so much gold on a profession before in Classic. Also, it takes a fair amount of time to level. This can be for a few reasons, such as not having the gold to buy the materials. Speaking of gold in the auction house, the same thing goes if your server's market seems to be fairly dry on some materials. I personally had to log off and wait for an entire day for my auction house to restock on lots of soul dust. But also the time it takes to travel to different vendors and trainers is also very long. The respawn timer of certain enchanting recipes from vendors too, they can also be a pain in the butt. And of course, the fact that our final trainer is located inside a dungeon rather than the open world. Although I might say that's a positive since it's a pretty cool and unique idea. Moving on to the positives now, and I can safely say that there's just as many if not more here, which is why it's a great profession to have. Let's face it, all of your freshly dinged 60s as well as those who have been 60 for a while will always need you whenever they replace their gear. Think of how many rogues and warriors will be replacing their weapons during the course of Classic. Quite a lot, isn't there? You'll never be short of any customers to enchant their gear, which leads us to the next point. With the above points mentioned, it's a fantastic profession to have because people usually always tip you for the service that you provide. Essentially, you can make anywhere between 1 and 10 gold, if they're feeling generous of course, per enchant that you do. Imagine going semi-AFK in Ironforge and having 10 people ask you for an enchant and they all tipped 5 gold. That's a nice 25 gold there just for being AFK. Not half bad. The fact that enchanting comes with the ability to disenchant is great also. The main reasons are, for us paladins, when we go to do any kind of dungeon farm, we can make even more gold per hour by being able to disenchant certain boss blues for enchanting mats. More often than not, they're worth up to 2 times, sometimes 3 or 4 times as much as they would just by vendoring them. For example, any loot in SM Cath, or Razor Fen Dance for examples from the bosses, they all sell between 2 and 3 times as much as their original vendor price when disenchanted into the small radiant shards. But also, if it is maxed out and linking in with what I've just said, you'll be able to disenchant any trash greens and blues that you come across. So, if you saved up those materials rather than sell them, you can essentially have free enchanting mats on your own gear rather than buying the mats and tipping someone else, which is a neat way to save some gold if you ask me. I would wholeheartedly say as well that enchanting and herbalism are the best professions to have as a paladin for dungeon gold farming, in Classic at least. But of course, that's a different story for another day. Finally, link in with the fact that people will need you to enchant their gear when it comes to raids. The best enchants in the game, such as 30 spell power or 55 healing, are found in raids as a rare drop. Meaning, compared to the rest of the enchanters on your server, if you have those, you'll be a much more sought out after individual, and people will typically remember you, or at least back in the day they did, for those specific enchants. Which means you'll likely have more custom from that player, as well as his or her friends in game too. The people this is good for is technically anybody. Although, I'd rather have this on a Paladin or a Mage if you can help it. The reason being is because if you are one of those classes, you'll be able to AoE farm dungeons often and easily. So you'll have many greens or blues to make use of your disenchanting ability. Moving on to the how-to now, before we begin you're going to need the following materials. I'm going to post an image on the screen right now for all of those things that you'll need, because there is quite a few and it will save a little time on the video as well. Feel free to pause whenever you need to note down all of these items now. You're also going to need to spend some time hunting down some vendors too. They're as follows. Delria in Annora, located right here, she's going to sell you both the enchant braces lesser strength and the enchant cloak minor agility. I have no idea how to say this NPC's name, but essentially she's right here in Moonglade. She sells both of the enchant cloak superior defense and formula runed arcanite rod, which the arcanite rod isn't essential to this guide, but get it anyway for future possibilities. My friend Dia in Darnassus, located right here, he'll be selling you the enchant for both enchant braces deflection and enchant shield greater stamina. This is a tricky one, as you can see from the footage. I actually had to wait 37 minutes for this guy to restock the shield enchant. Although please note, I've seen cases on Wowhead of it being up to an hour and 25 minutes, which I'm almost certain it's not actually that long. Just the person probably went AFK and missed it. My guess, it's every 60 minutes or so. Please note too that some of these are bind on pickup, so don't accidentally buy them on an alt thinking that you can mail them to your main. Okay, great. Now you've got all of those items noted down, here's the plan. Firstly, head on over to any enchanting trainer. For me, I chose to go to Stormwind. The trainer there is called Betty Quinn, and she's located in the nearest building to the Stockades instance. Then, you're going to disenchant everything you've been farming from dungeons up to the scale of 60. Yes, I did mention this earlier, if you don't have many greens saved up like I did, then it's time to get your butt into SM or Stockades and AoE the crap out of that place. Although, if you did want to make some decent gold for yourself, then I highly recommend you watch one of my live streams. A card to that should appear right now. If not, there will be a link down below in the description. Essentially, I sped ran RFD and made about 40 or 50 gold in 30 minutes there. If you do this over and over a few times, you'll not need to worry about the huge cost of this. Plus, it will skill you up too. From 50 to 60 it will begin to get fairly slow though, but you can reach it by disenchanting, trust me. Although, I do swear it was 90 before, but I couldn't seem to get past it even after disenchanting 12 items in a row. By now you should be at the scale of 60 and have a lot of the enchanting materials. I actually had this many after disenchanting all of the greens that I collected and saved up over time. At this point, it's time to learn Journeyman Enchanting from your trainer, and then go from 60 to 90, you'll need to enchant 40 enchant braces minor health. From 90 to 100, you'll need to enchant 10 enchant braces minor stamina. Now make one rune silver rod, that should take you to the scale of 101. Going from 101 to 110, you'll need to create 9 greater magic wands. And then to get to 120, you'll need to enchant braces minor agility. Finally, going from 120 to 135, you'll need to enchant 15 enchant cloak lesser protection. This personally for me took me a total of 15 minutes. The only downside to enchanting is that you're going to have to do it one by one, so it gets fairly repetitive. I mean, it's not like blacksmithing or engineering where you can click a button and then go AFK. Expert enchanting. Now, to become an expert enchanter, you'll need to do a little bit of travelling. The training for this is called Kitta Firewind in Elwyn Forest for the Alliance trainers, and she's located at the top level of the Tower of Azora, as seen right here on the map. To get from 135 to 155 in enchanting, you'll need to enchant 20 enchant braces lesser stamina. Now create one runed golden rod. This should get you to 156 in skill. After this, create 40 enchant braces lesser strength. This should take you to 185 in skill. From here, to get to 200, you'll need to enchant 15 braces strength. Now create one runed true silver rod, and this should get you to the scale of 201. From here, enchant 25 enchant braces strength. This should take you to the skill of 220. Finally, for the last 5 enchants, you'll need to enchant Cloak Greater Defense. This should take you to the skill of 225. And this, for me personally, took me around 18 minutes to do. Artisan Enchanting. Okay, great. We're essentially almost done now. Now that you're at the skill of 225 in Enchanting, it's time to find our final mentor for this profession. I'd advise you to be level 60 for this, or if you're a rogue or druid, you could possibly do this at level 50 plus, since you can use stealth. You're going to need to head on down to Alderman now. This part of the video is going to be sped up, simply to avoid the video taking too long, but essentially you're going to want to follow the exact route that I'm taking now in the video footage. You can clearly see from the footage that as a level 60 Paladin, I was able to sneak past every single mob, which is great as it proves that you won't need to worry about fighting too much once you're inside. The only fighting that you will be doing is at the end where you get to the location that we're heading to. There will be a pack of scorpions here that you'll need to take care of, and then our target will come out of hiding. This NPC is the one and only Annora. She's our masterful enchanter who's going to teach us most of our final enchants that we're going to need for this. To learn all of them, you're going to need around 12 gold in total and also around 200 vision dust. The reason for this is because we'll be standing there next to her and enchanting our way to the skill of 250. So it's important to have everything that you need to do this, otherwise you'll have to travel back to her, which is completely unnecessary. So, moving from 225 to 230, you'll need to enchant Gloves Agility times 5. After this, enchant 5 enchant boots Stamina. This should take you to the skill of 235. Now getting to the skill of 260, you'll need to do 25 enchant chest Superior Health. Now, once you're here, don't forget to learn everything from Annora before you leave Alderman. You never know, you might need some of them in the future. Going from 260 to 265, you'll need to enchant 5 Braces Greater Strength. From 265 to 294, you'll need to enchant 30 Enchant Shield Greater Stamina. And of course, if you remember at the start of the video, this is sold by my friend Dia at Darnassus. Also, this is a bind on pickup recipe, so don't make the mistake of buying it on your alt and then trying to mail it, because it won't work. And the very final enchant, going from 294 to 300, you'll need to enchant Cloak Superior Defense times 5. And ding, nice one. Congratulations, you're now a masterful enchanter with the enchanting skill of 300 in WoW Classic. Well done. The total time for that took me 8 minutes to do for this final segment after leaving Alderman, which means that in total, not including travel time or waiting for the respawn timers on those pesky limited supply vendors, it only took me around 1 hour to max out. Now of course, waiting the entire day for the auction house to restock and those vendors would have increased it quite a bit. But let's say you was fully prepared, it's not actually that bad. I'm happy that I finally maxed out Enchanting on my Paladin, as I know that I'll be making some very good use out of it in the future. Plus I know that I'll likely be able to make some decent gold from it too between now and the future also. Not to mention, I reckon I'll be having a few live streams or videos on farming other enchanting recipes such as Crusader. Boy, am I looking forward to that. So, since I have both enchanting and engineering now on Roly, I'm not going to be doing any more profession guides on him. Those professions are staying for good now. When I do any more profession guides, if I do any at all, they'll all be on my alts, but yeah, another story for another time. Hopefully you've enjoyed today's video, and hopefully you've now got the knowledge to level up your enchanting fast and effectively. I know from farming 45 small radiant shards in less than 2 hours, I made most of the gold back on what I spent. So the hefty fee at the start isn't completely lost. I'm sure that with another 2 hours of farming those things, I'd be in the green with profits rather than in the red. If you found this video useful though guys, please give it a like and share to all of your friends. By doing so, you're spreading not only the positives of this video, but the entire channel. We're coming close to 100 videos now, and I feel that this channel has so much more value within that. It would be a crime not to share it. After all, knowledge is power. But until the next time everyone, see ya.